But it's time to bring on friend of the show. We've had him on. This is probably our fourth or fifth time here over the past couple months. We like him. We love his perspective. He is a CFL legend. Don't believe his Wikipedia page because it's wrong. We found that out many a times. And don't get him started on the CFL sack leader this year, only having 8 sacks. That was like a half a season. For Charleston Hughes, as we say hello on the Western Pizza guest hut, look at that smile. Look at that hair. You're looking good.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. There's our
That's
guy.
funny.
Hey, now last time you were on and you expressed some displeasure. I think at the time it was 6 or 7 sacks was leading the CFL. The top guy in the league, there was 5 of them tied. 8 sacks, Charleston, come on. When you played that, literally, that was half a season, right?
Oh man, I think I had 8 sacks in like 4 games before. Yeah,
Now,
it's tough. I mean, it's tough, man. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it was all defensive tackles too. Um, that split that and shared that the privilege of leading the league in sacks. So usually when it's like that, it's always a down year, and next year it'll be back up again, and you'll see people getting to the quarterback more.
how many people still text you nowadays going, you could still play? Even at what you could still do, you could be out there and play. You must get those texts, right?
I definitely got those texts, and I've spoken to a lot of players on teams, man, and even players like Willie Jefferson. He reached out to me before that Grey Cup, and asked me for some advice, asked me for some tips and some pointers, going to a Grey Cup game like this, and I gave him my best thought on when I've seen him at his best and how great of a player he could be and how much of an impact he can have on games like that. And I told him that he was going to catch an interception that game. And look what happened.
I know. Well, Grey Cup, Argos beat the Bombers 41-24. But to me, Willie Jefferson was wrecking the Toronto Argonauts all by himself. If Willie Jefferson would have had a little help from some of the other 11 guys out there on defense, because he was having a career game. He was, like I said, interception. He was batting balls. He was sacking. I don't know if he could have done any more in his role, which would be like, come on, guys, a little help here. Were you surprised not only that the Argos won, but just how they ended up beating Winnipeg?
I mean, like I said, man, it was a tough game for them. And, everything that could have went wrong kind of went wrong in that game. With Zach Caleros getting hurt, with Willie Jefferson playing probably hands down one of the best games of his career that I've seen him play. And like you said, it was drop after drop and, bad play after bad play. And the thing is once you're a team like that, you can't afford to give up anything. And you got to make every play. And usually Winnipeg is that team, but it obviously didn't work out at this point. But hats off to Willie, man. He played hands down one of the best games I ever seen him play. And I'm just happy I had the opportunity to talk to him before that game and kind of give him the kick he needed.
Well, I think a lot of people were just automatically writing Winnipeg as winning that game just for everything. But if there was one team that was the most complete team from about around Labor Day on, it was Toronto and that defense, because you couldn't run on them. Secondary was pretty good. Offense was good enough. And do you think that Ryan Dinwiddie doesn't get enough credit as being a really good, sneaky, under the radar, good head coach? Not a lot of drama. They're always going to be the 4th or 5th team in that city, but he is just solid across the board, it seems.
He's definitely calling good games, man. And the thing is he's making great decisions and calling good games in big moments. And that's what really being a head coach and, leading a team is all about. Is as a coach, you just got to learn how to step out of the way, put your players in position to make plays, and let them do their part. Let them do the rest. As a head coach, your job is to manage the game. If you do a good job of managing the game and just try not to mess up too much, and which Dinwiddie's doing a great job of that, I will say that.
Yeah, it seemed like, not all. You have to feel good for Nick Arbuckle, someone that has been through the ringer and been kicked around. Probably that's the best way to say it, and not a lot of respect. I think he puts himself in the quarterback conversation for this offseason. And Dinwiddie even said, you can probably go somewhere and get paid. I think it was game plan, but I think also it was his time to shine. And I don't know, we'll never know this if Cameron Dukes was ever a threat, but it felt like he was playing like he wasn't looking over his shoulder, which for the past couple of years when Arbuckle has played in different situations on different teams, it's always like, is one bad throw going to cost him? Is one bad throw. It was great. It was great to see your guy, Bo Levi Mitchell, being up for awards. Bo being Bo, he was on the Grey Cup panel. They thought he was one of the Jonas Brothers. I love him. But after the game, Kadeem Carey in his speech, and Kadeem and all of his kids were on the field, and then he's taking shots at the Stampeders. And then a lot of people have come out lately, and now they're taking shots at your former team, the Calgary Stampeders, and Dave Dickinson, and coaching, and how they treat the free agents, and how they treat the players, and there's no hot meals, and the bad training facility, and all of that. Charleston, all of a sudden, it's everybody's piling on the Stamps for being the worst franchise in the league. Does that bother you a little? Because you spent a lot of proud years there.
It's not a bad place to be, man. Like Calgary was where I spent, the majority of my career. And it was, we've won a lot of games in Calgary and, with the same type of culture for the most part. So nothing's really changed, in the way their approach to games and, the way they handle free agents. Everybody is still kind of under that Hufnagel style umbrella. And I mean, you can't make everybody happy. Let's keep it 100 when it comes to that. But the thing is you're gonna have some bad blood when you leave a team, man. Like I wouldn't say that Toronto for me was the best place for me when I was there. So I didn't enjoy my time at that place. I didn't play as good as I wanted to when I was there, nor was I given the opportunity to. So the thing is as a player, you go to a team, you hope for the best, and all you could do is hope to get, some type of respect in return. And obviously, Kadeem Carey didn't get the respect that he wanted and deserved when, it really came down to it. So the thing is, man, is you just got to move on and try not to, throw burden on teams and GMs and head coaches, because they're out to do a job too, and that's when to win games and do the best they can with managing a team. So it's hard to keep 75 to 100 players happy on a team.
Yeah, you're right. It's Charleston Hughes on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. This is the all-new SportsCage, the Monday edition for Kellen Solar. Now, after the season was done, they came out right away and said Dickinson's going to be the head coach, he's going to be the GM. But then they end up firing Monson, Killam, and it was on the tip of the tongue. Roll Tide. Jawan Simpson.
Oh, Jawan Simpson.
I'm sorry, but Jawan Simpson, when I'm sitting on my couch and he's a couple thousand kilometers away, scares me. I would hate to be face to face across a boardroom table saying, Jawan, this just isn't going to work out. We're going to let you go succeed elsewhere. Those were all good guys, very well qualified football men, good coaches. Were they the problem this year in Calgary, or was that a little knee jerk, or did somebody have to pay the price, or did three of them have to pay the price?
Oh man, I think Jawan was a casualty. Yeah, he was. I don't think he had anything to do with what happened with that team. When it comes to Monson, I think Monson, he's a great defensive coordinator. He was one of those guys that's up to be a head coach someday, in the CFL. Killam, he was the assistant head coach in Calgary. I don't even know how that even comes about. Yeah, he had that assistant head coach title in Calgary. So why do you go off and get rid of your next up guy for the team? I have no clue, and I don't think nobody will understand that one. But I guess after leaving a situation like that, somebody has to be the fall guy, and those three guys became the fall people in that situation. Hopefully, that coach made the right decision when he made that choice, and hopefully they're a better team next year. I mean, if it doesn't work out, I'm pretty sure we'll all find out.
Yeah, and quick. So the only two people left on the coaching staff from the last time they won the Grey Cup are Dickinson and then Pat Delmonico. Everybody else has since either moved on
And Craig
or
Dixon.
been and Craig and Delmonico. All right, so some of the news last week. Edmonton, the Elks, or if they're going to turn back into the Esks, we don't know, named Ed Hervey GM. He said he's going to fix the Elks because they're a laughing stock franchise. Do you agree that they need to do a complete 180 to try and get people to show back up at Commonwealth Stadium? And is Ed the guy to do it?
Ed is the guy to do it. He's had a lot of success at a lot of different places. If he knows what it takes, to win a championship, you can anticipate Ed Hervey doing the right things. At the end of that season, the Elks kind of turned it around and they looked good.
Yep.
And you remember I
Yep.
said I was rooting for them towards the end, saying that they got a
Yep.
great shot of making it deep, which they did. And they turned that team around. So is the talent there? Yes, it is. Was the decision making all the best, early in the season? Nah. And I think they get better next year.
Okay, so now whether or not he wants to sign, would you try and have Trey Ford re-sign Trey Ford, or do you move on from that?
Nah, you gotta keep Ford.
Okay.
He's too much of a playmaker. Every game that he's played in, he's went in, he's picked up all the pieces and dealt with what he was given. And when you got a
Okay.
quarterback that can just go into a game and go, all right, we've been losing up until this point. I can't do no worse. All I could do is just try to play my best game possible. And he showed up.
Yeah. No, he did. Last week, the BC Lions, and the rumor was out there that Amar Doman was going to kind of clean house and Rick Campbell gone, like everybody was going to be gone. There's rumors that he's going to be the head coach of the Edmonton Eskimos and come in there and do that. And then, as someone who's part of Rider Nation, Rick Campbell and Ed Hervey make the Edmonton Eskimos a formidable football team instantly right away. They do have a good roster. You got a good football man and you got a good coach. Maybe Campbell's happy he got fired in BC. He had a year left. He's going to get paid. But was he a bit of a scapegoat? Because a lot of us think that whole Nathan Rourke situation, that wasn't Rick Campbell's decision. Even from some of the offseason comments from, you look at some of the players, do you think that was out of his hands and he was told, no, we just spent all this money, he starts? When Nathan Rourke?
Yeah, I think it is, a weird dynamic when it came to that Nathan, Rourke. They expected him to come back and just play. And, he's the golden child right now for the CFL period. He's the first Canadian quarterback to really come through and really, make a dynamic impact at the quarterback position. And he did it fast within a season. So for him to come back and they kind of expect him to be the same guy and just step right in. But again, you're creating controversy because VA wasn't playing bad. VA had an awesome season. Yeah, he brought the team very, very far. So once you kind of put VA down and bring the new guy back and put him up without, I guess, without honoring what was already done before him. I mean, the thing is it's tough. Like, you building a dynamic that isn't very nice, and I would say that came from high up top, where you got to deal with this decision.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So you've been in a locker room and you seem like you're a good team guy. How much would that obviously would have wrecked the BC locker room instantly? And maybe guys were smart enough to not say any of their jobs, but there's other guys that would be wearing it on their face. There's guys that would pipe up. That would wreck all the chemistry right there. Like that will set your team. Look what happened.
It will kill the chemistry of the team because you're splitting the locker room in half now. Now you're saying that half the locker room's rooting for VA, half the locker room's rooting for Rourke. Nobody knows who's the right crew besides the crew who's with those guys. But it definitely killed the chemistry in that room.
Well, and I think going forward, and the new Lions GM, Ryan Rigmaiden, said that Vernon Adams will be traded and he's not going to have any say where he goes. A lot of people think that he's going to end up in Calgary because his former college coach is there on Dickinson's staff. Where would you see VA succeeding? Because we saw bad VA when bad VA in the playoffs comes out, he gets happy feet and he likes to throw interception. And Dickinson loves to freak out on the sidelines. And would Calgary be a good fit for him, or where would a team like that? Where do you think VA would be a good fit or a good land?
It definitely would be a strange dynamic for him to be in Calgary, but depending on who gets that head coach job in Edmonton, I wouldn't put it past him being in Edmonton.
Well, Rick Campbell, and he said this in his post-game presser, that game that he threw 6 interceptions and he kept him in there and he showed all the faith and you could see him welling up. He was getting emotional. And that's where you could tell Rick Campbell is an honorable guy and he stuck with VA and said, you're our quarterback. And then everything happens this year. So I was like, all right. And maybe all along there was this unspoken thing where it was like, listen, I have to do this. I have to play this other guy. I'm sorry, but I will, try and make it. But that's the other thing too. That was a good lesson. You can't buy your way into a Grey Cup. You can't buy your way into whether you're the Dodgers, the Yankees, or you're Amar Doman and you've got money. And Green Day was a way better halftime show than the Jonas Brothers. I'm just going to put that out. I'm sorry, but Green Day was awesome.
I'm glad you said it because I was thinking that same thing the entire time. Like, this is a terrible
Even my wife, and I got kids. Like, my daughters, she'll be 13 tomorrow, and one of them's 9. They're like, Dad, we don't know any of these songs. I'm like, if you don't, I have no idea. At least Green Day was awesome. Green Day was awesome. Yeah. So, and trust me, and when they put it out there, oh my God, the Jonas Brothers, I was like, this is all we're going to hear for the next 3 months about how good this is going to be. To be like, all right. And a lot of people were like, why?
Man, I expected big things from them, man, but that was tough. Like, I don't know why it just felt just so bland. And it was weird from the start because they started on the field, and I thought that was kind of awkward at times because they were just directly in the middle of the field on the turf, and I was just seemed strange.
It seemed very forced, but there's a lot of things that forced. Something that came out over the weekend with the Riders having a little bit of success. Ottawa apparently is going to interview Riders Josh Bell for defensive coordinator. Did you guys ever cross paths when you played? Or were you ever teammates, Josh Bell?
In Calgary, yeah.
Okay. And did you know he was going to be a coach on down the line?
He has that mentality, yeah. He got that leadership mentality, that frontline type of guy who was always willing to stand out and get in the front line. And you want me to go out there and lay the first hit on somebody, I will. And then he was good at rallying troops and being a leader on the field. So I always knew that he had the capability to coach. And he was very knowledgeable about, the Rich Stubler type style defense. And usually that's what kind of Rich Stubler, he's like the last, I guess, really defensive guy to come under, Rich Stubler and kind of adopt that style of defense. So Josh Bell is the one that keep that alive.
Okay, so legitimately, if he gets an interview, he could be, because from everything you said, maybe Ottawa's like him, maybe they like what he did in Saskatchewan. And then there was word out there, the Riders offensive coordinator, Mark Mueller, is going to get an interview to be a head coach. For the BC Lions, rich lineage and history you don't have a better bloodline. than the Lancasters. So, and that's the thing with the riders and success. And you know this, you saw this for all your years you were successful in Calgary or whatever. People want to come and they want to pick your coaches and pick your free agents and boom, boom, boom. And then you have to replace.
Yeah, man.
You have success. That's probably the hard part of success is
that
you can't always keep the band
quite
together.
a bit now because you're missing some holes, some important key tools right there on the coaching staff that you still got to fill those roles.
Yeah. Real quick here, and then I want to ask you about Gladiator. If you're the Riders, do you bring back Trevor Harris or do you let everything go to free agency and see who is out there, who is interested, who's talking? Maybe it's Trevor again. Maybe it's some of these other people because there's going to be a lot of quarterbacks available. What would you do if you're the general manager?
Right now, if I was a general manager, there is definitely going to be quite a lot of quarterbacks that are hitting the market right now, and I would just play it out. I would just let it go, play it out, and see what quarterback's available during that free agency.
All right, keep your options open. It's kind of like you're showing up at a high school dance and you don't have a date. You're just keeping options open.
Those options open, man. Because Trevor Harris, was he a bad quarterback? No. Did he deal with a lot of injury bugs? Yeah, he did the entire season. Is he more than capable to win you a championship? Yeah, he can probably get there if you get the right tools in place. But also with this whole, Mueller thing happening right now, and you're probably going to have a new OC. You're probably going to need a new quarterback. You want that OC to be comfortable with a quarterback that they're comfortable with, then you should leave your options open.
All right, let's switch gears. So Friday, Gladiator 2 opened at the theaters. I went and saw the noon showing on Friday with a bunch of other degenerates that go to weekday movies at noon. I don't know if you've ever done that. In your top 10 of movies, would the original Gladiator be in your top 10 of movies?
Yes, the original Gladiator would be, but my number one overall is Troy.
You mean the Brad Pitt movie, Troy?
Yeah.
No, Charleston, you can't tell me that Brad Pitt makes a better gladiator / Roman warrior soldier. When he does the speech, when he tells him I'm Maximus Decimus Meridius, the father to a murdered son and a murdered wife and all that, and it's like, whoa. Like I was ready to jump through the screen and into the arena and help kill some lions.
You don't like Troy?
Well, Troy was okay. Didn't that movie get really bad reviews though? Didn't it get panned?
Okay.
Troy. Because and maybe it was because it was Brad Pitt. Like if it would have been a no-name actor, because the guy in Gladiator 2, I'd never seen this guy before. He does a good job. He's actually an Irish actor, and he's done a bunch of stuff. I'd never seen him before Friday when he showed up on the screen. And they tie the original into Gladiator 2. It's good. But do you know who's great in this movie, who probably is going to get some consideration? And this is not breaking news. Denzel Washington. I mean, it's Denzel Washington.
I was going to say, probably Denzel. I read an article. No, I was listening to a podcast where he said there was a clip that was removed that he kissed another man in that show.
Yeah, but there's a scene where he's kissing, like because that's how they were greeting each other. But it's funny. It is Gladiator 2, but the movie is, yes, it's about Gladiator, but the movie is a lot about Denzel. It's more than you would think, where you think, well, okay, we've got Denzel, we're going to use him. It was good, but it's hard to top a classic. We'll agree to disagree. If Troy is a classic and Gladiator a classic, this comes close. But it's
a classic.
Troy is a classic.
If I took a poll right now on X, on Twitter, and threw it out there, I bet you Troy would get way more votes than Gladiator.
Oh, by the way, speaking of X, you were thinking of changing your Twitter handle. Did you ever end up doing that?
I have not yet, but it's coming soon.
All right. Well, let us know what it is. So it's still at Saskatchewan.
Yeah, at Saskatchewan too.
Saskatchewan. Be happy you're in Texas today because it's full on winter here, my friend. Down to minus 24 tonight, minus 35 with the wind chill. Tomorrow, more snow and a high of only minus 26 on Friday.
Yeah, I'm glad. Oh man, I don't even know the last time I seen snow.
And whereabouts are you? Let's wrap this on so people can really be jealous and blow up your Twitter. Where are you in Texas? What city are you in?
I am in West Texas. There's nothing but desert out here.
Nice.
Monahans, Texas.
All right. Well, you probably like that new show Landman, which from the creator of let's see, what's that with the Duttons?
Yeah, that show was either staged out here in the show.
Yeah.
In this West Texas area. Yeah, with Billy Bob Thornton. Yeah, I think.
All right.
I think they were in Midland, if I wasn't mistaken.
Yep. Midland, Odessa. All right. He's Charleston Hughes on the Western Pizza Guest Hotline. We'll do this again in a few weeks. Charleston, as always, a pleasure. Appreciate it. Go blow up his Twitter feed. There's no way that Gladiator is not superior to the movie.
Don't say that.
All right. We're going to take a break. When we come back on the all-new Sports Cage, we're going to talk a little college football. It was a wild and crazy weekend.